If they're talking about it and they're insiders and they're whistleblowers, then who cares what the president says? They're the ones who I'm going to listen to. The president, if there is a cover-up, is going to be in on the cover-up. More than 90% of Earth's existence, it has had life.
So Piers Morgan just sat down with Neil deGrasse Tyson to tackle the UFO phenomenon that's been dominating headlines since congressional hearings began. What makes this fascinating is watching a world-class astrophysicist apply pure scientific logic to conspiracy theories. This is how you separate facts from fiction.
No one who's done the math is in denial of there being some kind of alien life in the universe.
The Drake equation, formulated in 1961, actually supports this. With over 4,000 confirmed exoplanets discovered since 2009, and the James Webb Telescope finding water vapor on distant worlds, the mathematical probability of alien life existing somewhere approaches certainty. The question isn't if aliens exist, it's whether they've visited Earth.
One of them is, might there be extraterrestrial life elsewhere in the universe? And if you run the numbers, how old is the universe? What are the ingredients of life as we know it? Turns out those ingredients are the most common chemically active ingredients in the universe. And the universe is old. It's vast. Our galaxy has several hundred billion stars, and there may be as many as 1 trillion galaxies. And life got underway on Earth almost as quickly as it possibly could have, within about 100 million years. So more than 90% of Earth's time, 90% of Earth's existence, it has had life. So you just add all that up and you say, no one who's done the math is in denial of there being some kind of alien life somewhere, or perhaps everywhere, in the universe.
These numbers are staggering and scientifically verified. The Milky Way contains roughly 400 billion stars, with recent studies suggesting 40 billion Earth-sized planets in habitable zones. Life emerged on Earth 3.8 billion years ago, just 700 million years after formation. This isn't speculation, it's mathematical probability bordering on certainty.
That's a different question from asking, have intelligent aliens come and visited us here on Earth?
This distinction is crucial for understanding current UAP disclosures. The Pentagon's own reports acknowledge unidentified aerial phenomena, but leap from "we can't identify this" to "therefore aliens" commits the exact logical fallacy being described. Scientific skepticism demands extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims.
It was a day before we understood much about the physical universe, and it was very easy to ascribe nature and the goings-on in nature to gods, God or gods. So a storm would whip up in the ocean, and that was Poseidon wreaking havoc on your town. Maybe somebody did something bad. The lightning bolt would strike. Well, that was Zeus. So that often things we didn't understand, the power of a deity was ascribed to it. And philosophers have called that the God of the gaps. And it persists even to this day in many people's thinking. Like if you get ill and you did something wrong, then you have a guilt complex and God is punishing you. Okay, it's God of the gaps because you don't know why you're sick or you don't know how you got sick. All right, today, what I find is many people see things they don't understand. A light in the sky that moves in a way they can't predict or foresee. And they credit aliens. So for me, crediting things we don't understand to aliens is the continuation of the God of the gaps.
The God of the gaps concept perfectly explains why 90% of UFO sightings get explained once investigated. Our brains evolved to detect patterns and threats, often creating connections that aren't there. Social media amplifies this. Viral UFO videos consistently turn out to be balloons, aircraft, or optical illusions.
So in my book, I've just introduced a new term, aliens of our ignorance. So there's something you don't quite understand, aliens. There it is. And it becomes a very convenient way to account for mysteries. And in science, we love mysteries. We live on the frontier, on the boundary between what is known and unknown in the universe. So if at every time we had an unknown, we said aliens, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere in our research programs.
The term aliens of our ignorance brilliantly captures how conspiracy thinking shortcuts the scientific method. Real science thrives on mysteries, dark matter, quantum mechanics, consciousness. But instead of saying aliens did it, scientists design experiments and gather evidence. That's the difference between discovery and speculation.
So many people who are sure that the US government is a big, bloated, inefficient bureaucracy simultaneously will declare that it's masterminding a major cover up when thousands of people are in on it and keeping a secret. And all I could think of is Benjamin Franklin's edict from his almanac, where he said, back in the early 1800s, he wrote, 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. So this is just a blunt understanding of human nature. And by the way, the kinds of secrets you're talking about are the tasty secrets, the really juicy secrets. The government, of course, keeps secrets that no one even cares about, right? So it's the ones that you really care about. And how about the janitor that could have just slipped an iPhone photo of the alien and then immediately posted it? Yes, the janitor would lose his job the next day, but it would be the most famous, richest janitor there ever was, because that would go viral. Faster than cat videos go viral.
Franklin's wisdom hits harder today. We've seen classified documents leaked constantly. Pentagon Papers, Snowden files, Trump's classified records scattered across Mar-a-Lago. Yet somehow, thousands of government workers across decades have kept alien contact secret? The logic doesn't hold when you consider human nature and modern technology.
And we upload 4 or 5 billion photos a day to the internet, plus 1 million hours of video a day to the internet. None of them have detailed images of aliens. So either the aliens are only coming to Earth to visit our military installations and the US government, or they're not really here. I mean, maybe they just care about our military. That's possible, I suppose. But if we were under alien invasion, it seems to me that would get crowdsourced, because everybody would take pictures of it. And you wouldn't need hearing.
6 billion smartphone cameras worldwide, yet the best UAP evidence remains grainy military footage? We capture meteorites, lightning strikes, even plane crashes in crystal clear detail daily. If aliens were visiting regularly, statistical probability says we'd have undeniable photographic evidence by now. The absence is telling.
I don't see why people credit politicians with having deep insights into scientific discoveries of the universe. That's odd to me as a scientist, because anyone is going to discover an alien, it's going to be a scientist looking up with our thousands of telescopes that we have around the Earth. Way more telescopes.
But wouldn't they tell? But wouldn't you? Okay, but on that point though, Neil, wouldn't you then feel compelled as a scientist to immediately inform the president?
So that's the whole point. The title of my book is "Take Me to Your Leader." So the alien comes down and says, "Take me to your leader." Who do you take it to? Do you take it to the elected official who doesn't know science, or do you take it to a science agency where you have cryptographers and biologists and chemists? And so, or the alien, having eavesdropped on our signals, might think the actual leaders are Taylor Swift or some other pop culture figure. And so the point, so it's an interesting dilemma you might have.
This point resonates especially now. We need scientific institutions like NASA, NOAA, and the CDC making discoveries, not politicians spinning narratives. NASA's current UAP research, led by actual scientists with peer review, represents legitimate investigation, not congressional theatrics designed for cable news soundbites.
Aliens are real. I didn't interpret that as we are stockpiling aliens. He's scientifically literate enough to know that in the universe there are likely aliens. And that's how I interpreted that first sentence. I didn't view that as him leaking secrets or anything. That was
Obama's 2021 comments were scientifically literate, acknowledging statistical probability without claiming government knowledge. Contrast that with congressional UFO hearings, where politicians treat anecdotal military testimony as definitive proof. The scientific interpretation makes infinitely more sense than conspiracy theories.
And so if they're talking about it and they're insiders and they're whistleblowers, then who cares what the president says? These people are on the inside. So they're the ones who I'm going to listen to, not the president, especially since the president, if there is a cover-up, is going to be in on the cover-up. And someone who's sneaking information out is not. And so the fact that people listen to what presidents say as though it is the truth. I've never understood that at all.
This exposes the core contradiction in UFO conspiracy logic. If whistleblowers are publicly testifying to Congress about alien cover-ups, then the cover-up has already failed. Real government secrets, like NSA surveillance programs, stayed hidden for decades until someone with actual evidence came forward.
This is conspiracy thinking 101, where you invent an account that allows you to continue to think what you'd like, even if the direct evidence isn't there, or if there's a gap in the evidence. You gap it yourself so that you can continue to believe. So I came to conclude that it's almost a belief system, because no one is, like I said, if you bring forth the alien, I don't need your testimony. We got the alien.
Confirmation bias explains why UFO believers dismiss every debunked sighting but elevate ambiguous military footage as proof. This mirrors flat Earth or anti-vaccine thinking. Evidence that contradicts the preferred narrative gets explained away while supporting evidence gets amplified, regardless of quality.
So what you're asking, I think you're asking, is whether the fact that scientists who have done the calculation have pretty high confidence that there are aliens out there. So, okay, that's one thing. And by the way, we are looking. We have major observing programs, helped in large measure by the James Webb Space Telescope, to look for evidence of aliens. And by the way, to the scientist, an alien is any kind of biota, right? It could be microbial. So we'd be happy if we found anything, not just, the kind that would come here in a spaceship. So I have a hard time accepting that, looking at the statistics on that, and now we're motivated to search, that somehow that's a conspiracy theory, because we're testing our conclusions, okay? The conclusions are not a given. We're presuming there's life out there. Now let's go find it. The UFO people are declaring there's life, that we've been visited. That's a declaration. But they don't have the evidence, or it's hidden, or it's a conspiracy, or it's covered up. And so they arrive at their conclusion, gapping the absence of evidence. And so that's, to me, different.
James Webb has already detected water vapor, methane, and carbon dioxide on exoplanets, potential biosignatures we're actively investigating. SETI continues scanning for radio signals. This is how alien discovery will actually happen, through systematic scientific observation, not leaked government videos.
Everybody likes to hate Trump when you're on the left, unless we're going back into space to show the world who and what we are relative to everybody else. So that program has been in place since the 2010s, and we're continuing it back into Trump's second term. So there it is. That's why we're doing. No one will admit that, but part the curtains and you read history, there you have it.
Space policy transcends partisan politics when national competition enters the equation. China's rapid space advances, lunar samples, Mars rover, space station, forced American response regardless of who occupies the White House. Geopolitical pressure drives space exploration more than any individual president's vision.